Trump is turning up tariff pressure again, out of nowhere. To look at why this is happening now and what's behind it, we'll talk in detail with Sun Hanbit, who covers the presidential office. Reporter Sun, there are reports the U.S. had issued a warning 2 weeks ago. Did the presidential office really not see this coming?
The reaction is that they did not expect it at all. They also say there was no prior notice to the Korean government before President Trump posted his message. It was, quite literally, a sudden notification. Still, the presidential office is trying to respond as calmly as possible. We're told today's emergency meeting was also held in a notably composed atmosphere. The fact that the president made no mention of tariffs at all during the cabinet meeting also appears to reflect that approach.
To respond properly, we need the why. So let's run through a few possibilities. First, there's the possibility that remarks by Deputy Prime Minister for the Economy Koo Yoon-cheol served as the trigger. What is that about?
Yes, it was something he said in a recent interview with a foreign media outlet. He said it was unlikely that investment into the U.S. would materialize this year, and the question is whether that influenced things. He made that remark because a special bill has not yet passed the National Assembly and the investment targets have not been decided. The analysis is that it may have alarmed the U.S.
But even if there are multiple possibilities, Prime Minister Kim Min-suk was in the U.S. just a few days ago and has been back for only a day. Couldn't he have known then? It seems likely that many issues were discussed.
It seems that Prime Minister Kim Min-suk unfortunately was not aware beforehand. As Prime Minister Kim recently said, when he went to the United States, the first agenda item at that meeting was the Kupang issue and the case involving Pastor Son Hyun-bo. There were remarks indicating that this agenda appeared to be quite unusual and seemed not to align appropriately for a meeting involving top officials. But just days after that, President Trump made his tariff remarks, so based on timing alone, some are interpreting it as potentially connected. Currently, the Blue House believes that issues like Kupang or Pastor Son Hyun-bo are not significant factors in this matter. The government's current view is that the U.S. is expressing dissatisfaction simply with delays in Korea's investment into the United States.
So the reaction is that Prime Minister Kim Min-suk didn't know and the presidential office didn't know either. But then there's talk of a warning 2 weeks ago. Some say they already knew. What's behind that?
Reports indicate that 2 weeks ago, the U.S. sent a letter to South Korea's Deputy Prime Minister of Science and ICT urging the fulfillment of trade agreements. If it turns out to be accurate, it could be interpreted by many as a prior warning issued by the U.S. However, our government clarified that, in the ongoing discussions, while the letter was sent to the Deputy Prime Minister of Science and ICT, its primary content revolved around important digital issues and was not connected to any U.S. investment.
In any case, the tariff warning was sent to the Minister of Science and ICT. Well, that raises questions too. So if, as you said, it was about digital issues, what exactly are we talking about?
You might have heard a lot about the Online Platform Act in the news. It's legislation aimed at regulating major online platform operators. The U.S. is concerned that its domestic companies might face discrimination because of this law. Since Washington has taken a negative view of the Online Platform Act, some say it could have influenced President Trump's tariff remarks. As you can see, many theories are flying around, but the most important thing right now is to determine what President Trump's remarks actually mean and how real they are.
That's our look at the possible background. That was Presidential Office reporter Sun Hanbit.